Okay, so hello and welcome to the Cricket World Cup review podcast, and we will be discussing the group stages of the Cricket World Cup 2019. And we won't be discussing F1 today, as is evident. So I have Ben with me, who will be discussing cricket with me today. How are you feeling, Ben?
Yeah, very good. Good to be here. It's good to mix things up as well.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, cricket certainly has some more viewers than F1 does, at least in my country.
Yeah, just a few, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. So we will be reviewing the table. So looking at the table, I see Afghanistan at number 10. So they have 0 points from 9 matches. So do you think that the points table does them justice?
No, to be honest, I don't think it does. I think obviously that it's always going to be tough for them. Obviously, they're only their second ever World Cup. Get to play everyone this time. Only got one win against Scotland in the previous tournament, but I think they gave a good account of themselves. They had a tricky start. There's some tough games against Australia and England, and obviously New Zealand as well. But they're really kind of built into the tournament. And I think it's extremely unlucky that they aren't leaving England without any a win. To be honest, I mean, you look how close they ran Sri Lanka. They probably should have won that. How close they ran India, and then how close they ran Pakistan as well. And if it wasn't for a quite frankly terrible decision from Goulburn to bring himself on, they should have beaten Pakistan really, and they probably should have gone and beaten Sri Lanka as well.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think the match with India was probably the match of the tournament so far. I mean, for the way they fought, and I mean, Indians were nervous, and we don't get nervous very often when it comes to cricket.
Yeah, I thought because that would kind of come off of a bad period for Afghanistan. Probably the first real game where you thought actually, yeah,
Yeah.
you thought it was going to Afghanistan could be completely blown away in all their matches, but then they gave that performance against India. And they did come so close, and obviously crucial wicket of Nabi in that final over kind of
Yeah.
did for them in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, considering the problems that they've had with their squad coming into the tournament, with the change of captaincy, like I think Mohammad Nabi and Rashid Khan both spoke out against it that the change of captaincy in the last moment was unnecessary. So, considering that the mood in the camp wasn't exactly what you would call united, and then losing your most explosive batsman in the first match itself, I think they probably gave it a real go.
Yeah, because I mean, there's been a lot of kind of off-field problems, hasn't there? A new board of, a new board of governors has come in. They've taken the decision to sack Afghan as the captain, appoint Golbadine, and obviously, even Mohamed Shahid wasn't very happy about being sent home. He still claims that he wasn't injured, and then you've got Phil Simmons coming out and saying, after this World Cup, I'm going to do a full in-depth interview about all the stuff I had to deal with. What else is there? Aftab Alam got sent home, I was reading yesterday, for kind of misconduct, and as well they've suspended
Yeah, for
their
disciplinary reasons. Yeah.
suspended their team manager as well. So they've had a lot of a real shame really. They've been on such realistically it's only been good headlines since they've come into international cricket really, and it's such a shame to hear about all these off-field problems that are kind of holding them back. But yeah, it's been a real kind of messy tournament off the pitch. I say even before that, it's been a real messy time off the pitch, Afghan cricket, and on the pitch, they've come so close. But maybe if those things were a little more settled behind the scenes, maybe they could have achieved a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think this team has a single hater in the entire world, and probably the only team who has no haters at all. Because I mean, it's been such a fairy tale story, the entire story of the Afghan team, and their journey throughout the last 10 years has been like an example to the entire cricketing world, and for them to run probably one of the most dominant teams so close, and I mean deserving to win some of the matches even. 0 points really doesn't do them justice, to be honest. Like you said, they probably deserved much more.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. They've come so close, but yeah, and it's those fine little edges you've got to kind of get right, and this will be a learning experience for them, and they'll come away, they try and qualify for the next World Cup and kind of put that right. But cricket it's a game where it's really really hard can upset people. Over the course of like a 50 over match, it's so every ball is an event. It's so difficult to kind of get over the line in matches, and winning is a habit, and Afghanistan need to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to win. Obviously, I think the obvious
Yeah,
area of improvement is their batting. To be honest, I mean, you look at how they've got the bowling sorted, they've got the spin bowling sorted for sure, and if this World Cup was in the subcontinent, I'm sure they would have left with some points on the board. But that spin attack is deadly. It's one of the best spin attacks going around. But you see their batsmen, often struggling. Certainly, 300 seems far above what they can manage so far. And obviously, when you're an ODI side, you're really struggling to score 300 in games. You're not, and a lot of time you don't give yourself enough to bowl at, even how good the bowling attack is. And that's
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
the next
yeah.
step they need to take.
I mean, they almost made 300 against the West Indies, so.
They did. They did. Obviously, very kind of attack dependent against who they're playing. The better teams they can obviously the weaker teams they play they can kind of push towards 300 more. But obviously when they play some solid opposition, you do see them kind of just scraping over 200. And in the modern ODI, very rarely are you going to win with just getting to over 200.
Yeah. I think you're right on that. I mean, I certainly expect greater things from. I mean, it's almost a given that they would qualify for the 2023 World Cup, and since the World Cup, next World Cup is going to be in the subcontinent, I really expect them to come good, especially Rashid Khan with the World Cup that he has had, and he will have 4 more years of experience, both him and Mujibur Rahman. I think they can make a real mark in the next World Cup. I mean, early
Yeah,
predictions, but yeah.
yeah, definitely. I do certainly hope they qualify because obviously it's tough now. Cutting it down to 10 teams. They had a real struggle to qualify this time. I mean, going into their second phase of qualifying, they actually took no points through. They only won one of their four first phases, first games in the first phase. I'm going to
Mhm.
start that. So yeah, it was really difficult time for them qualifying. Scotland and Ireland were very aggrieved. Scotland certainly were very aggrieved that they didn't take their place, and obviously with one established nation going into qualifying, like it was West Indies this time.
Yeah.
Could very easily be like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. That's going to be very difficult to
Mhm.
qualify for Afghanistan. So yeah, it's a real dogfight to even get into the World Cup now.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, one of the more aggrieved side, according to me, was Zimbabwe, probably.
Wow, I mean they're in all kinds of trouble, aren't they? If you've seen their ODI results recently, they've just lost 2 games to 2-game series to Holland. Like they lost both
Uh,
games, lost to Ireland as well. So they're not in the best place right now.
yeah, I mean, where are the days when you had the Flower Brothers? Uh,
Long gone for Zimbabwe, long gone.
yeah. Anyway, so moving on to the team which finished ninth, and who probably, in my opinion, had the best start possible to the tournament, and they were on top of the table for some time. West Indies winning the first match and then winning their last match, and then nothing in between. So my question to you probably would be, do you think that this is the result of them not having a single quality spinner in their team?
Yeah, I think. Um, yeah, I think it is one of the issues with them. Obviously, I'm sure they wanted to call on Sinner and Orion, but he kind of picked up a finger injury in the IPL. And he said he didn't want to, put it through the strain of bowl in 10 overs each game, which is fair enough. But yeah, Ashley Nurse, isn't up to be in a top line spin. Really, if you're gonna challenge in this tournament, you need someone better than him. I think one of their problems is they're very inconsistent, very up and down, aren't they? I mean, on their
Yeah,
day, as you saw in the first game.
the thing is, Ashley Nurse, as you said, is not up to the mark, and probably this is the reason why he did not play every single game. And for most of the games, if you look at it, their bowling was way too one-dimensional to take on a good side.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we saw in the first game how they they went short against Pakistan, bounced them out, and and that worked. In fair play, they bowled brilliantly that day. All their bowlers did. But as we saw as the tournament went on, they tried to do that to other teams, and even they tried to do that on pitches that weren't as conducive to that short bowling.
Exactly, yeah.
And then they got found out, and it found out their bowling attack actually was very one-dimensional.
Yeah, and I mean, apart from their bowling being one-dimensional, another thing is that what I got the feeling is that their batting is like they play as if they're playing in a T20 match. Especially, I mean, you can heap all the praises for the way he played in the IPL, but I was very disappointed with the way Andre Russell played in this tournament.
Yeah, on your was disappointing. Obviously, it's a bit different, isn't it? 'Cause in a fifth year of a game, obviously you've got more time and you don't need to be as
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 explosive.
reckless, as explosive. Exactly. Andre Russell kind of made a niche in the IPL, didn't he? Where he was, KKR kind of consistently were bringing him in like the 15th over, so all his only choice was to tee off.
Hmm.
Obviously, when you're coming in, about 20 or 30 overs in, it's more kind of you need more smarts about you and more intelligence to build an innings. And I think the problem with West Indies batting is they've got a lot of, I say, like T20 hitters, but can they build an innings? Like, they're the kind of players that will play one good innings in like 5 games, and but that
Yeah.
innings will be so good. That's all we talk about. So like,
Mm-hmm.
they'll put a big score on the board. They'll hit a lot of sixes, and then but they won't score anything in between. But people will say, "Oh, but he's a great batsman. Look at point to that one innings that he played." You know what I mean? There's a lot of players that
Yeah, yeah,
don't come
yeah, yeah.
off
I get it.
consistently
Yeah.
enough. So
Mm-hmm.
you look for that innings. You've got Shimon Hetmeyer, young kid, a lot of potential, but even against Bangladesh, he got like a nice 50 off 26 balls, but that was his only
Yeah.
contribution. And
Mm-hmm.
Andre Russell again didn't come off at all. Carlos
Yeah.
Brathwaite, one
I mean,
contribution
yeah.
against New Zealand doesn't come off consistently, and Chris Gale and Evan Lewis, they're all that kind of player. They can absolutely tee off and destroy any bowling attack on Pooran and any bowling attack on their day, but they don't do it consistently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
can't trust them to like dig in a
I
bit,
mean,
innit?
yeah. Speaking about Carlos Brathwaite, I kind of get a feeling that I don't know if you remember him, but I get a feeling that he's very much like Yusuf Pathan, who's from India.
Yes. I was going
Yeah,
to say, do you
I
remember
mean,
Carlos Brathwaite? I was like, I'm English, of course I remember Carlos Brathwaite.
yeah. Ben Stokes does, even if you don't.
Ben Stokes does.
No.
Ben still wakes up dreaming about him, having
Yeah, no,
nightmares.
I mean, like the way he goes about things. I mean, the reason why I said he's like Yusuf Pathan is because he's got that magic innings in him, but then it will only come once every 20 games. So
Yeah, exactly, and that one innings will keep you talking about him because then
yeah, yeah,
every time he comes out to bat, you'll say, "Oh, remember what he did
yeah,
X amount
yeah,
of
yeah,
games
yeah,
ago."
exactly.
But then
Yeah.
he never quite produces it again, and yeah, I absolutely agree. Carlos Brathwaite is a lot like that.
Yeah. No, so I mean, coming to one of the brighter spots, I think Nicholas Puran is one positive that they can take away from this tournament.
Yeah, I think he kind of, yeah, I mean, he's kind of had a good recent spell. He got his first IPL contract, and kind of as the tournament, drew to its close, he kind of got more matches and kind of got some few scores on the board. And yeah, we kind of took that confidence through to the World Cup, and obviously picking up that century as well. He's one of the batsmen that looks like he can, put together an innings,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
one for the future for sure for them.
Yeah, cool. So moving on from the West Indies to two teams finishing seventh and eighth, who both finished on 7 points. South Africa in seventh place and Bangladesh in eighth place. But I kind of get the feeling that they should have really exchanged their places at the end.
I think it's an absolute tragedy South Africa finished ahead of Bangladesh. I was like, when you think about Bangladesh, all you list is positives about the tournament. You think about South Africa, there's like just so many negatives. It's hard to think Bangladesh were pushing, and they looked quite handy when England started to drop off. They looked quite handy for qualification. People say
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
miss
yeah,
this
yeah.
out, and then it's a bit
Mm.
crazy to think that it's ended up sitting in eighth place, and South Africa have been one of the disappointments of the tournament. Have finished ahead of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like, if you consider Bangladesh, uh, I don't think we have seen a better all-round performance in a long time. Uh, Compared to what we have had from Shakib Al Hassan. I mean, one of the standouts of the performance of the tournament by a mile.
Absolutely. I mean, a worry for him in the sense that he's not made it to the semi-final, so I reckon player of the tournament might go to somebody that makes a contribution in the next couple
Yeah,
of games. But I
yeah,
mean, I think that I don't agree because I think Shaki has been the best player of the tournament by far and away the best player. He was so
yeah,
consistent and yeah, absolutely brilliant.
yeah. I mean, if you look at the rest of the Bangladesh team, Shakib is the only one who has delivered purely on consistent basis. I mean, you look at Mushfiqur Rahim, he has delivered, but he's been inconsistent. You look at Shamya Sarkar and Tamim Iqbal, who haven't contributed much, but then have played innings of substance in the middle somewhere. And then you have Liton Das, who had an innings of 94 not out against West Indies, and not really much apart from that. So you have one guy who really, really stood out in Shakib Al Hasan, both with the bat and the ball. And another positive would be your Mustafizur Rahman with the ball.
Yeah, but this was obviously, yeah, great bowler. Got played a lot of wickets, great death bowler as well. He's a real weapon for Bangladesh. Coming in bowling this kind of slower balls at the end of the innings, kind of catching out batsmen. Yeah, so Bangladesh have built a really kind of strong side. You look at
Yeah,
the bowling options. Obviously, Mustafiz is a very good bowling option as well. And you've got the likes of Shakib. I thought Saifuddin had a good tournament with the ball as well. Would
yeah. I mean,
say,
but
yeah.
I was about to mention that he has been one of the, underrated players in the tournament. Saifuddin, like, not enough has been spoken about him, but then he has performed more than he has been mentioned about.
Exactly. I think he's had some, kind of handy cameos with the bat as well. He can certainly,
Yeah. He gave a scare to
yeah,
India. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
yes, I mean, like them, but then, Bangladesh have improved by leaps and bounds in the last at least 4 years or so. So I think they can be a real contender for the semi-finals in 2023. Early prediction again, but then, you have to consider them now.
Yeah, you do. I mean, they've made so many leaps forward. Um, yeah, absolutely. And obviously, yeah, I think kind of maybe they're one top quality batsman away from being, really right up there. And obviously, they've got 4 years to find one. But yeah, they've got some. There's
Yeah,
certainly potential. There's a lot of
I mean,
improvement.
if you ask me, I think they already have the batting lineup to do it. But then the consistency, I mean, the consistency is there, but then they just don't seem to deliver on the day, on specific days. Because if you consider Tamim Iqbal, he's a legend in Bangladesh cricket. He can deliver anytime he wants. Samir Sarkar is as explosive as any there is. And then you have Mushfiqur Rahim and all this. Mahmudullah Riyad one. I mean, I would be afraid of playing against that guy. So you have these kind of batsmen who can deliver and who have delivered in the past, to be honest, but then just couldn't do it on the given day, could they?
Yeah, I think Smith Sarkar is very much. I do like him. He's got a lot of shots in him. He does like to go hard early. I think he's kind of like an early career Jason Roy, because what Jason Roy used to do for him, he used to come in and open the bat, and he'd get himself to a really quick 30 or 40, then he'd get out.
Yeah,
He'd look great, but obviously like he'd maybe average like in the 40s, but that would be from just consistently getting 40, literally,
yeah.
looking good and then getting out. And I think Simi Shark's a lot like that. He can get himself a start, and then we can say, oh, he's looking good, but then he ends up giving it away, and obviously he doesn't go on convert that into the big scores.
Yeah.
Um,
That's. I mean, now that you mentioned this is kind of like Rohit Sharma pre 2011.
yeah, exactly.
Like the entire India was saying this guy has got so much talent, but then it just doesn't convert his starts.
Yeah. I think maybe just got a few players like that. They just need to kick on really, get those big scores, and obviously then they'll start to consistently challenge at the top of the tournament. So I really don't think they're far away.
Yeah. They're not far away, even considering the points table. Anyway, so the guys who have finished above them, who probably didn't deserve to finish above them, but then South Africa. So I mean, it's a known fact right now throughout the world that they've had a disappointing tournament. But what do you think about their tournament? Because they were kind of really finished off right at the start, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Bangladesh, their first game is kind of when we thought, oh well, I don't think it's a big tournament South Africa. 'Cause, I mean, we knew how strong, India, England, and Australia were. So as soon as you lose to a team like Bangladesh, we didn't expect the tournament they did. As soon as you lose to a team like that, you kind of think, well, maybe they have to go on and beat a big side. Turns out they did, but they did in the end. But they had such a kind of poor in between, it made no difference.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of might get ignored that they actually beat Australia.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good performance, and it was a kind of, I guess, a South African fan would be happy and frustrated watching it, kind of thinking, well, where was this? Where has this been?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, looking at their performance throughout this World Cup, I think they had a batting lineup which was way too inconsistent.
Yeah, I think I look at South Africa's batting. I don't know. I wonder where the runs, where does the power hitting come from? You know what I mean? It's like we see how you need to kind of in these modern day you need to go big, you need to be getting these 300 scores. I just don't know South Africa's batting. A lot of it, it's kind of solid enough, but solid but not spectacular.
Yeah,
Markram
I
is
mean,
like that.
see, the thing with South Africa was that their power hitting, 90% of their power hitting came from AB de Villiers. And you
Yeah,
look at the guy who replaced AB de Villiers in the 11, is Rassie van der Dussen. But he is more of a Joe Root than a Joss Butler, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
I do. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree with it as well. I think you look at down the order, you've got, Faf's never been a power hitter. Rassie van der Dussen, if you just said, JP Dumini's just form just been nowhere. Dwayne Pretorius, it's like, you don't see where the acceleration in this is going to come. And a lot of times,
Yeah, I
South
mean,
Africa,
you have to actually go down all the way to Chris Morris for any power to come.
exactly, and Chris Morris, he's a good hitter and he can clear the boundary, but, can he consistently get the runs? Not, I
No,
wouldn't
I
back
mean,
him to.
you cannot expect a guy who bowls 10 overs to do all the hitting all the time.
Exactly, you absolutely you need somebody ahead of him to do that. And obviously, I don't think South Africa really have anyone. Obviously, Quinton de Kock is one kind of power hitter, but he's an opener. You can't expect him to stick around for all 50 innings and kind of kick off the innings well and then close it out. He needs some support, and even then, Quinton's not had the best tournament himself. So
Yeah.
yeah, their batting's kind of been problematic, but also the bowling attack as well. Because I think they have been unlucky in the sense that I think going into it, they potentially could have had one of the best bowling attacks in the tournament.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Rabada, Stain, Ngidi. Obviously, Stain was ruled out for injury. Ngidi
Mm.
had injury problems coming into it. They had George was ruled out of the tournament. But then you've got Tahir, who's still, even at his age, one of the best spinners going around. I think it is absolutely brilliant. And then obviously, Shamsi is the second option. So yeah, they have potential in their bowling attack, but I think, injuries and a bit of, lack of form really let them down.
Yeah, and I mean, considering that this was probably Faf's last World Cup, if he doesn't manage to do a Chris Gale. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, it ended in such a disappointing way. The captain of the side. I mean, you have to feel for him.
yeah, you do. I mean, you wonder, with the squad available to him. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel with that. I mean, yeah, he kind of put it together, didn't he? Got himself his 100 against
Yeah.
Australia in that final game. But yeah, everything just seemed to come together too late for them.
Yeah, exactly. I teed off at way too late. So, moving on to the guys who finished above them, who probably deserve to finish much lower, Sri Lanka. I mean, you look at the team. I mean, when the team was actually declared, I personally, I don't know if anybody else felt like that, but I personally felt, who are half of these teams? Like,
Yeah,
I haven't heard of them before, and the brightest spot for them was probably Avishka Fernando, who actually did not play the first few games.
it took a long time. Yeah, I mean, after Fernando, came off that England game, didn't he? And just
Yeah,
he really impressed. I mean, he was kind of he showed everything that we were saying Sri Lanka's batting was lacking. Kind of intent, the power hitting, and yeah, and his really impressive innings, and obviously followed that up getting his first 100 as well later in the tournament. So he's a bright spark for the future. Yeah, but as you say, I mean, looking at the team. I mean, Owen Morgan was asked before the tournament. It was like, Sri Lanka could be a surprise package because he's like, I've not played against any of them, and a lot of us are in that situation. So I don't know who any of these players are. But he basically didn't know who any of them were. So
yeah, no, I
they
mean, could have used it to their advantage, but then unfortunately they didn't. They ended up with 8 points. And I mean, you have to take into consideration that they had two of their games washed out, so they actually scored 6 points. But do you think that they deserved eight at the end of the tournament, considering that Bangladesh had seven?
it does seem excessive, doesn't it? I mean, they're a side which has been, quite frankly, dreadful since the last World Cup. I mean, their bilateral series results have been nothing short of, abysmal. They've really, they've chopped and changed the captains. They've tried everyone. Kurinarattane came in with a handful of ODIs and they had 3 minutes of captain, so they were really kind of in disarray, falling out with their players, and it was a strange tournament. Yeah, it does seem strange when they've got 6 points. And they've got 3 victories on the way. The Afghanistan game, a bit lucky to win that. Really,
Yeah,
Afghanistan. I reckon if that game was late with the tournament, Afghanistan would have chased it down because that was
yeah,
before the
yeah,
game where
exactly.
that was before Afghanistan got their concept of the bat. I feel like after the England game, where
Yeah,
Afghanistan had no chance to chase it down, but they just set their stall out and they said, "Well, we're going to bat at 50 overs here," and
yeah.
kind of like the confidence grew from there in their batting. And later in the tournament they probably would have chased down that 200 score. But obviously the England game was a big one though, and that was that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
really set
I
things.
had a question for you, especially since you're English. How did this side manage to beat England and comfortably in the end?
That was a low point. That was when I seriously started to question. I was like, we're one of the best sides. We should be getting through. And I was looking at myself, fixing. I'd back myself against Australia, India, and New Zealand because we are a good side. But when you lose to Sri Lanka, the doubts do creep in. You're like, really, under this kind of
Yeah.
pressure, we've lost to a side like this. It was
Hmm.
a really disappointing game. I
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, on the positive side, this opened up the rest of the tournament because I mean, Sri Lanka are the side who did not let this World Cup be boring halfway through. But then, yeah, it was a real concern for the English.
that's true. I mean, the tournament probably did kind of need one of the teams to struggle. Obviously, England kind of struggles to open the door for a lot of teams. Open the door for like Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, which from a tournament perspective was good. But obviously Malinga was really on fire that day. Kind of restricted England, and then
Yeah,
when England have a low score on the board, and it's not about just breezing through in this aggressive batting. England do struggle, and I see in a small tight chase where you've got to bat sensibly. England aren't the team you go to for that. England are the team where you bat first, you put 340 on the board, 380, then you defend it. But when you put
yeah.
England in a situation where you've got 230 on a difficult pitch, it's tough to get in. England aren't the team you turn to.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. So yeah, coming to the teams, in fact, I should say, who finished on 11 points, and in the end, New Zealand were fighting for their lives towards the end, I feel, and Pakistan were just plain unlucky to miss out.
New Zealand. I was strange. It's a strange one with New Zealand because I don't think there's been a team that's advanced to the semi-finals of a World Cup like with such disarray. Really, like it's so strange to think because when I think about New Zealand, all I can just think about is just listing the problems. I mean, if you look at it, their openers have had an abysmal tournament. Their opening partnerships have been nothing short of dreadful. I mean, nobody's got anyone to the top of the order.
I mean, like
Guptill's been really poor.
you have to ask where the openers have been because I think their batting sort of starts with Williamson and then goes on to Taylor and then doesn't exist anymore. They've
Yeah,
just
yeah,
got they've just got two players who are playing for the entire team, and like thankfully for them, their bowling lineup has been on top form throughout the tournament, which has I think rescued them. And like I have to mention this. I came across this, and this was in my mind for some time. If Carlos Brathwaite had managed to hit the ball 10 meters further than he managed to, Pakistan would have been in the semi-finals.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, exactly. Less than that. It's just a couple of meters, isn't it? Inches in this game. If that goes over the boundary, New Zealand are gone, and you could have back. Obviously, Guptill's got no runs. Munro hasn't got any runs. Henry Nichols has no runs. Latham got a very scratchy 50 against England in the last game.
Latham
Only
has been
runs he's
woefully
got.
out of form.
He has been very out of form. Taylor's been out of form as well. Williamson has carried this batting lineup through. Like there's so many games where they were Williamson's squad driving through. I mean, New Zealand are lucky in the sense that I think a lot of midway through the tournament, people are overhyping them. Because I mean, if you look at their fixtures, they played a lot of the weaker sides early in the tournament.
Yeah, right in the beginning. And for a long time, I mean, to my surprise, to an extent, for a long time they were at the top of the table and they were
Yeah,
unbeaten for a long time.
exactly. But I mean, if we go through their scores, so you got they beat Sri Lanka easily. That's no big surprise. They got pushed right to the end by Bangladesh. Obviously, that Mushrika misstumping of Williamson was a big moment in that. So yeah, they got
Yeah,
pushed by Bangladesh. They beat Afghanistan easily, which is fair enough. India was washed out, which helped them no end because that extra point has qualified them. So that was a real kind of help for them. And
yeah. I mean,
then
now that you think about it, had that game been played, you could have had Pakistan in the semi-finals.
yeah, it's always hard to say, isn't it? But well, not hard to you can't say, but it's very likely India would have won that. And obviously they beat South Africa easily as well. And then they started and they scraped against West Indies. And then they played the good sides, and then sides started beating them. Pakistan beat them, England beat them, Australia beat them. So it's like, as soon as they faced good opposition, they started to lose matches, and the lack of form of de Gond home. And all their batsmen I've already mentioned kind of really kicked in. And I was going to say, they've got so many obvious problems. It's strange to talk about them and say, actually, yeah, they've made it through to semi-finals.
Yeah, I mean, now considering that we've talked about New Zealand, I have to ask you this: how much of a chance are you giving them tomorrow?
None.
Tonight?
I'm giving them none. No chance.
You
I
sound like an
in.
Indian.
I mean, I guess that's dangerous, isn't it? We're gonna say that they might turn up, but India are a strong side, and I just don't see the position. I don't see how New Zealand can turn it around,
Yeah,
try
I
to
mean,
get
I mean,
up
yeah.
and
Now
beat
that you mention
India.
it, I think even if New Zealand turn up and even if all their players turn up, I think still India is kind of too strong for them to overcome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if India, it's kind of game where if India play to strengths, if India play their best game, then New Zealand can't win anyway. It's always going to rely on kind of a dip from India for New Zealand to beat them, and then it's going to require New Zealand to bat at a level that they've not had this tournament. So I think it's going to
Yeah,
be a real challenge. Obviously,
yeah.
and plus the thing on New Zealand is they were so reluctant to make team changes as well. So the players have got to sit on the sidelines have no games under their belt at all. So,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's an easy fix to switch someone in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something which India managed to do well.
Exactly.
Shuffling players. Yeah, no. So, I mean, if we haven't talked about Pakistan enough, what do you think about Pakistan's World Cup? Because this is one team I really want to discuss as an Indian, and no, because
Mm.
I have surprisingly good things to say about them. Because I think they've really done well this World Cup, and had it not been for that dreadful game against West Indies, they would have been in the semi-finals.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of typical. Pakistan is a all or nothing, really. They had that dreadful game against West Indies, and you thought, well, they're not going to last long at all, are they? But then they turn up and they, stick 350 on the board against England, defend it, under some pressure as well. Because I mean, England got two centurions against Pakistan, but they kept their nerve, held out the game, and they won it. And then they kind of the way they grew in strength and strength from there, they looked unstoppable. They were climbing the table, and you thought they're going to go and do it. But then, obviously, the rained off games didn't help them. They would have fancied their chances of beating Sri Lanka certainly. So that
Yeah,
was a
exactly.
disappointment
Yeah,
for
I
them.
think that is one washout that really hurt them in the end.
Yeah, you would have fancied them to beat Sri Lanka, and then obviously they beat New Zealand. Brilliant game. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure it'd be my best game, but it's definitely in my short list. The New Zealand Pakistan game.
Yeah,
Brilliant
yeah,
chase,
yeah. Hmm.
brilliant 100 from Baba as well to kind of get them over the line. And then you got
Yeah.
typical Pakistan, haven't you? That game against Afghanistan that they should have lost. So there is some of the old Pakistan in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, so if you talk about positives for Pakistan in this tournament, I think Imam ul Haq has been a real positive because I really like that player for some reason. He looks really stylish in the way he plays. And Babar Azam was already established as a great player even before the World Cup began. And Haris Sohail has really come up as a surprise for me because he is a player who had played in the last World Cup but hadn't really made a mark and was sort of has been invincible. I mean, invisible since the last World Cup, but has really surprised a lot of people with his performance this World Cup. He came into the side for Shoaib Malik and then really turned things around the way Pakistan's middle order looked and got some really good innings under his belt.
Yeah, definitely. For us, the Zealand game is the prime example of that. The way him and Baba kind of took the team home to the
Mm.
nearly home once the Starfires came out. But yeah, it was a brilliant kind of performance, and yeah, he kind of really kind of solidified that middle order. And yeah, he had a great tournament. And obviously, Imam as well. You know, I really like the presence of Imam up the top, the kind of the solid figure at the top of the order. See, you know, the idea is, you know, Imam holds the innings together, where Fakar goes after the bowl, and obviously
Yeah,
Fakar had a poor tournament, which didn't help them out really.
yeah, really,
That was a
really poor tournament
disappointment.
for him.
You know, in the combination works in theory, but obviously in practice, Fakar disappointed. But obviously Babar coming in at 3, yeah, Babar, he's going to be a real star of the future. He had a brilliant World Cup.
Yeah, and Mohammad Amir as well. Like, if you're mentioning positives for Pakistan, we have to mention Mohammad Amir. He's been phenomenal in this World Cup.
Yeah, and obviously it wasn't picked in the preliminary squad. Didn't like he was going to come because it's such a poor tournament and such a poor lead up. You know, his average was like averaging over 100. You know, and he's
Mm.
come into this World Cup and he bowled brilliantly. For Adrian kind of bowled with the talent that we always knew he had. I don't really know what was happening kind of in the meantime, but yeah. How many wickets was it? Was it 17 wickets he took?
I think
Yeah,
it's 15,
17. So I've got to hit
17. Yeah,
17.
yeah,
Is
that's
that,
quite good.
yeah,
Yeah,
he had a great tournament.
yeah, that's
Obviously,
better than Bumrah, the number of wickets.
yeah, because yeah, it's right up there. Obviously, behind everyone's behind Mitchell Stark, but behind
Yeah,
him,
oh man, I
17's the
think he's
next
been a
best.
yeah. Mitchell Stark has been on another level when it comes to wickets.
Well,
You know?
same as 2015, isn't it? He just
Ah,
loves the
yeah,
World
yeah,
Cup.
yeah, yeah, indeed. No, so I mean, just if you had to answer in one
Sorry,
sentence. So
can we just
no,
mention before you ask me? Can I just
yeah.
mention Shaheen Afridi as well?
Oh
Sh-
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
can't
yeah.
we can't kind of
So
talk about
sorry I didn't mention
Pakistan's
him.
bowlers without talking
Yeah,
about Shaheen Afridi. The way the way he came back, he kind of dropped out the side, then he came back in and bowled brilliantly. Picking up 4 wickets against Afghanistan. 6 wickets in the final game. Yeah, only
yeah,
19 as well. He looks another real star of the future.
yeah. I mean, considering that he's only what 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, considering his lack of experience, but then still managing to have such a good tournament, I think yeah, I mean, yeah, he's really one for the future, and I think Pakistani fast bowling at least is in safe hands.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely some promise to come.
Yeah, and coming to the question, so
Yeah.
since both of the teams are finished on 11 points, which team do you think deserve to go through? Run rate aside.
Yeah, I would rather see Pakistan because Pakistan are carrying the momentum into
Yeah. Mm.
Pakistan are carrying momentum, whereas New Zealand have lost all of theirs. New Zealand started well and
Mm.
then clung on, but Pakistan started badly and came up. So I feel like that would have made more interesting semi-final. Apart from the fact it would have been Pakistan India, which obviously is massive, but even if it wasn't Pakistan, even if it was someone else, it would have been a team coming in, top form, really high on confidence. Whereas New Zealand are coming in low on confidence, full of problems. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's not gonna be as close a match. It's gonna be difficult for them. Obviously, to use your football analogy, you always say in the playoffs, you always got to watch out for the team that sneaks in sixth place.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you've always got to be wary of that team that puts the late run in because they come into the playoffs peak confidence, playing really
Yeah.
well, and that would have been Pakistan if they got through.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, I think when it comes to the championship playoffs, you sort of give more of a chance to the team which finishes sixth.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. They're always dangerous because a lot of the time the team in third is not in great form because
Hmm.
they're disappointed to miss out on automatics, and the team in sixth has put together a great run, so then they are
Yeah, I
full
mean,
of
just
confidence.
looking at this year and how Leeds' season ended, Leeds United.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's a kind of a parallel we can draw there, and I think it would have been good to see Pakistan kind of rewarded for that late run, but yeah, obviously with the net run rate situation, it's strange that their tournament has been destroyed by that first game against West Indies.
Yeah, yeah.
8 games down the line, and we're still being dragged back to that West Indies game, and that's completely killed their net run, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to agree with everything that you said. No, so I mean, since we've already discussed one of the semifinals, India New Zealand, where I don't really think anybody is giving New Zealand much of a chance, but then yeah, you obviously can't count them out. Coming to the other semifinal, which is Australia England, the mini Ashes or the Ashes.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
what are
Ash is
your
so
predictions
miraculous.
for that? I'm really looking forward to your predictions for that.
Oh, I'm a scared Englishman. Yeah, I mean, I would rather have them now. I feel like game against Australia, I'd rather not lose in the final. But no, I don't know. If we're gonna lose, I'd rather be in the semi-final. But saying that, I'm cautiously optimistic we can win. Obviously, we found our form the last two games. Obviously, Australia coming in with a few problems. Obviously, Karaja's missing injured. That's going to be a big loss.
No, but
Obviously,
then they
concerns over Stoinis
probably
as
have
well.
they probably have Sean Marsh coming in for Quaja, so he's an able replacement, isn't
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's like, they're Australia. Like every team's gonna have like solid batsmen to come in. They're not gonna have some complete, random. But
he?
you're not scared of Sean Marsh and Mitchell Marsh. So Sean Marsh is injured. They brought in Peter Hanscom and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
they brought in Peter Hanscom and Mitchell Marsh to replace Stoinis. He's also got an injury. Dow. So it's like obviously they're good players, but they don't frighten you. You don't get scared of
Yeah,
Peter
yeah,
Hanscom or Mitchell
yeah,
Marsh.
yeah.
So I feel like they've got a few injury concerns. Obviously, Stark and Warner are their two kind of go-to players. They've been playing really well, and obviously you need to negate them. But I think actually we can learn a lot from the way India played. India kind of went hard against Stark and Cummins and kind of took them out of the game, and then they could cash in on the medium pacers and their secondary bowlers, which haven't really impressed. So I think
Yeah.
India kind of have set out the blueprint to beat Australia. So
Hmm.
that's what we need to follow. And yeah, I mean, with Roy back, England look a completely different side. The way that even in the last game against New Zealand, Roy and Bairstow, sorry, look like were batting on a completely different pitch to everyone else. So
Yeah.
I feel like the game plan is go after their bowlers early, and if it comes off, we could really put the rest of their attack under pressure. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, I think I agree with you on that, on the entire thing, because I think that when it comes to Australia's batting lineup, you will have a weak link in there. Anyone who comes in place of Quaja will be a weak link in that. And I cannot really see any weak links when it comes to the England batting. And every single one of those batsmen in that English batting lineup is well capable of hitting the ball big and I mean capable of getting 150 balls if required.
Yeah, exactly. England have such a strong batting lineup, and kind of sometimes in a batting lineup you can look down and say, right, if we get rid of him, look who's coming in next. But when you look at England's batting lineup, you get rid of the openers. Joe Root comes in, then Owen Morgan comes in, then Butler and Stokes. It's like there's kind of no let off the bowlers. And obviously, if you look down, everyone's put up a good score at some stage. Roy's got centuries, Bears has got 100, Root's got two. Owen Morgan destroyed Afghanistan. Ben Stokes had a lot of good 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Butler's had a good 100. He's probably someone who I'd like to see kind of him getting more time in the middle and getting some more runs. But obviously, Josh Butler's somebody that you can never you can never get
Count out.
complacent
Yeah.
against.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I think England are kind of peaking at the right time, and it's probably the best thing for them was to have these two games that were must win, because it kind of made sure they had to switch on and kind of found a formula which works now. So yeah, we're kind of going in a good place.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. But then, yeah, I have one final question for you. It doesn't have to do with the semifinals, but then, uh, since you guys finished third and it was not decided until the last day that who you will be facing in the semifinals, would you have rather preferred to face India than Australia?
Um, it. in all honesty, probably deep down, probably yes. I think I would have rather played India. Um,
Is it because you managed to beat us earlier?
yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think it is. I mean, honestly, um,
I mean,
yeah,
I can tell you my side of the story. We definitely did not want England in the semi-finals.
yeah. I think that's what England. That's when we've got in their favour, isn't it? 'Cause obviously New Zealand were the plum tie. You know, everyone wanted to play New Zealand. Um, obviously India did well and they've got that tie. But yeah, I think nobody wanted to play because even when England was struggling, teams around them still didn't want to play England because they knew that on their day England can turn up and really destroy any bowling attack. So
Yeah.
with kind of a dangerous side with a good reputation that was built up. But yeah, it would have been brilliant when the England Australia final. Um, yeah, obviously, we've just beaten India. Let's go and do it again. They're not. You guys aren't. You're a good side, but you're not infallible. There is weaknesses you can exploit, but
Of
yeah.
course,
Well, to
it's.
see.
I mean, you guys just haven't discovered it yet, or probably you guys have, but then the rest of the world hasn't discovered it yet. So, yeah, there are. I mean, if you take on the spinners that we have, it creates real problems for us because Hardik Pandya is our fifth bowler, and he's probably not the best fifth bowler in the world to have, and like the sixth bowler option that we had is gone now. So the bowling can face challenges if one of the bowlers have an off day.
Yeah, that's what England did in the game. They won against India. So they went after Chahal and Kuldeep, and yeah, kind of paid dividends really. But then again, we were dragged back at the end. We could have got a much bigger score, but India came back really well. So it's you kind of kept persisting with Kuldeep, and he did eventually get the wicket, which kind of opened up the game. So, and all these games are so tough to call. And obviously, you can sit here and say I'd rather play India, I'd rather play Australia, but at the end of the day, they're both top quality sides that have great weapons and they have different strengths. So it's very very difficult saying that anyone you play would be a very tough game. Firstly, we didn't get ourselves the luxury of being able to play New Zealand because of where we finished, but yeah, it's really difficult whether you'd rather play Australia now because obviously Australia, no matter what the talent of India is, Australia is always a bigger game for an English team,
Yeah, yeah,
just because of everything that comes with it. So it's whether you'd rather get that in the semi-final or the final, whether it be ramped up.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. Everything that you said. So with that, we come to the end of the group stage review, and in a few days we will be back with F1 again. We will be previewing Silverstone in a few days. Do you have any words for Silverstone coming up next week?
I can't wait. Obviously, Lando Norris is hitting form. It's going to be great for him. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton's going to be desperate to win after last year, but there's questions now about Mercedes. They're going to have to respond. They're going to have to find an extra performance, lift themselves. Red Bull are going to be high on form, confidence.
Yeah.
Ferrari are going to want to hit back. Leclerc. So all the components are there for a great race.
Yeah, I mean, like you just summed it up perfectly in less than 10 seconds. I feel. So, yeah, I mean, we probably had to do that because we've probably gone on for a bit too long than we planned for. But then, yeah, that was the group stage review, and we will be back in a few days with the review for Silverstone. So, see you until then.